older women thought dating would be more easier as they got older.
I've just been dumped. Well, not dumped because we weren't dating. I've been friend-zoned. Actually, no, I don't think I've been friend-zoned either. I think I've been let go. I've been let go from the current position. Citing timing. I have in the past thought that is just a bunch of BS. It's just an excuse. Timing's not right. And we've been on 3 or 4 dates over the last month. Tick, 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 tick on my list. But over the last 2 weeks, he's been overseas for work and he's also been interstate for work. So we've had this massive break. Unfortunately, that has a tendency to kind of block the consistency. Now, he's trying to swing between 2 states. Is he moving to Melbourne? Is he staying in another state? He's not sure. So he's kind of in this weird space of a bit of the unknown. So I was feeling it the last few days. I felt a bit of the pullback. The texting wasn't quite as, interesting. He wasn't as interested. He wasn't asking any questions, really. So I noticed there was a shift. So I just kind of sat with it and I thought, okay, let's just see what happens. You can't always look at somebody not wanting to pursue you or a relationship with you as a full rejection. I think we have to kind of take stock of that and say, I'm a good person. I'm a catch. I know what I'm bringing to the table. I know what I'm offering. I know what I can give to the right person. And kind of like a Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know if you remember that episode when a woman sits in front of him and says, I just don't want to date you anymore. And he said, sure. Okay. And she's like, what do you mean? He said, sure. Okay. And she said, you don't want to ask why? And he said, no, it's been great having a few dates with you. I'm going to go now. And he walked out of the cafe whistling, she'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. And what that means is there's always going to be somebody else that's going to be coming around that mountain. And if they're not into you enough to fight for you, then you just say sure. And you let them let you go and you walk away. It's hard. And I am disappointed. But I'm also kind of like, I don't want to waste time with someone who's not investing. So yeah, your little Monday reminder that a rejection is not always a rejection. It's a misalignment and it gives you the opportunity to step back out there to find somebody who would move mountains to be with you.
I think being that you're well known on TikTok now talking about your relationship life is maybe a bit off-putting because they feel they'll be judged and characterized. Just a thought. This answer is very telling. Maybe watch your videos back objectively and try putting yourself in that man's shoes, and also ask yourself what is in fact your message, what you want people to think about you, and how you want them to see you. I think you will find at the crux of it, posting all this stuff is a bit of an inner cry for help, which is okay, but I would advise against reporting on romantic interests on such a public platform. Quite frankly, that is pretty topped and questionable to say the least.
Little dating story for you all. So I have decided to go on an app to perhaps date and had someone reach out and we organized a date for 3 weeks ago. And then he cancelled at the last minute, then organized a date for the same time next week, cancelled the day before. And then today, we had like a catch up for a drink at 4:00. Now, I finish work at 3, so I had to be quite strategic, get home from work, zhoosh up a little bit, get out to where we were meeting so this morning confirmed, yep, no worries, thanks very much, we'll see you there. And then I jump onto the app at 3:00 as I'm leaving work thinking, right, go, go, go. Gone completely, not there, nothing. So I go into previous chats or whatever it is and it just says, oh, sorry, you and so obviously just aren't going to make it. And I just thought, wow, like, could you not even just pop into the chat and say, hey, look, I've actually changed my mind, or I've met somebody else on the app and, I want to see where that goes. Like, isn't it just courtesy? Just say to somebody like, I've changed my mind. Very simple. What are your thoughts?
This woman is complaining about a guy who canceled their date twice. Once the week before, then again the day before they were supposed to meet. They finally met up for drinks somewhere, and now she's angry. She's saying he should have told her on the app that he changed his mind or met someone else. Let me translate what actually happened here, because she's completely missing the point. He didn't change his mind permanently, he was managing his options. Those cancellations weren't about scheduling conflicts or emergencies, they were tests and prioritization decisions. He was seeing if something better would come along, or he was prioritizing other women who seemed like better prospects. When those situations didn't work out, you became the backup option he circled back to. That's why you finally met for drinks, not because he was genuinely excited about you, but because you were available and convenient when his preferred options fell through. Now here's where she reveals her entitlement. She thinks he should have told her on the app that he met someone else or changed his mind. Why? Why does he owe her that explanation? They hadn't even met yet. He doesn't owe you transparency, closure, or consideration when you're still strangers on an app. You're not his girlfriend. You're not even a real person to him yet. You're a profile, a possibility, an option among many. Men with options manage multiple prospects simultaneously. That's how dating works in 2025. He's talking to 5, 10, maybe 20 women. You're doing the same thing, swiping on dozens of men, entertaining multiple conversations, keeping your options open. But somehow when he does it, it's disrespectful. The double standard is staggering. Here's what really bothers her. She wasn't his priority. She had to wait. She had to be patient. And when they finally met, she could feel that she wasn't his first choice. That ego hit is what's making her angry, not the cancellations themselves. If he had shown up that first time with flowers and treated her like she was the only woman in the world, she wouldn't care that he'd been talking to others. But his behavior made it obvious she was option B or C, and her pride can't handle that reality. This is the modern dating market. Men with value have options and manage them strategically. Women have more options than men overall, but they're competing for the attention of the small percentage of men everyone wants. When you're pursuing a high-value man, or even a man with moderate options, you're competing whether you acknowledge it or not. If she doesn't like being treated as an option, she has two choices. Either date men with fewer options who will prioritize her immediately, or accept that the men she actually wants are also wanted by many other women, which means she'll have to prove her value and earn priority rather than expecting it by default. But demanding that he owe her explanations and consideration before they've even met, that's entitlement. He managed his options. You happened to still be available when he circled back. If that bothers you, stop entertaining men who don't prioritize you, but don't expect high-value men to put you first before you've proven you're worth prioritizing.
Okay, story time part 3. Sunday morning, he texts me, "Hey, sexy, good morning." But I didn't respond to him because I was at a brunch at my sister's house. So I was finally able to get back to him about 6 o'clock or so. Hey, I apologized and said I hadn't gotten back to him because I was busy. So he replies to that text about 3 hours later, like 9 o'clock. "Heard you. I'm outside for my sister's birthday. What you doing?" I'm like, "I'm home." He says, "Oh, I'm in Queens." Okay. So he says, "How was your weekend?" I was like, "It was pretty good." "Oh, I already know." I never even responded after that because I'm already feeling like, boy, you're about to be blocked in 2.2 seconds. Never responded again on Sunday night. I get a text 11 o'clock Monday morning. "Morning, how you?" Oh, somebody sounds mad. But this is where it gets good. He says, "I guess I'm gonna put you in the friend zone like a Boogie song." Like, what? "You don't have time for me. It's cool, appreciate you. Hope you have a great day." He puts his name. I said, "Good morning. What do you mean? I was busy just like you were busy this weekend. But have a blessed day." And that was that. Oh, but he wasn't done. "What are you doing tomorrow?" "I want to go to the movies tomorrow to go see the Spike Lee movie." Then he proceeds to text, "How are we supposed to build anything if we don't see each other or communicate?" Not this text shit. You feel me, Miss Lady? Sir, we've been communicating. I didn't even respond to that. I never responded after. But it doesn't end. He doesn't give up. He texts me yesterday. "Morning, I'm just giving you a shout out." A what? "Hope you have a good day." I replied, "Good morning." That's it. He then sends me a screenshot of a post of an event that's going on Saturday. He says, if you're not doing anything Saturday, I'm going to be in Connecticut on Saturday. Because remember, I'm going to see my man Chris Brown again Saturday. He must have been bothered with that response because you always busy. And am. But my response to him was, yeah, living life. Isn't that what you said? He responds and says, yeah, I'm trying here. Gotcha. Enjoy life. Do the things that make you smile. Well, clearly it's not you, sir. My last response to him was, absolutely. Block. And you asked me why I'm single. This is why. This guy gave me like 5 red flags within the first 2 days we were talking. And I gave him a chance. I was trying to be nice. Yeah. Let me know in the comments. Was I wrong? Did I do something wrong? Like, did I go about it wrong? Like,
So all those red flags that you mentioned, yet you continued to entertain the conversation. From the first time you met, he told you he is out to live life, and when he gets a woman, he would like for her to be a good cook. That's his choice/problem. I think the problem was that you didn't give him a clear indication that you were no longer interested in him. You continued to communicate. So all of those conversations/interactions since your first date were as friends. He doesn't owe you any explanations, just like you don't owe him anything. So the only problem I see here is that you didn't cut it off when you knew it was not going anywhere. I hope you were able to find someone who fits your needs. Everyone deserves to be happy.
The truth is, no guy wants a 57-year-old. Really? Shark 3061? How old are you? Let's see your picture now.
Your problem is the economy. Older men are in high demand by much younger women. They can afford to entertain them and show them good times. Younger women are more positive about life.
So I wanted to come on and talk about a couple dating experiences recently. Well, not dating, I guess, because they never got to dates. I'll be 60 in October, and I haven't dated in a long time. If you don't know, I lived in a van for 3.5 years, and then I've been caretaking for my mom, and I moved her into assisted living in September. I was like, oh, well, maybe, dating would be nice. You can't really date when you're in a van on the road. And then I still lived in the van, and but now I'm in a place and getting settled. And first thing, I already have been duped in the past by men, but so about, a month and a half ago, there's this place that I kind of hang out at, and I know a lot of people, and I'll just stop in every once in a while. Well, I stopped in, it was a Sunday. That's not normal for me, but I was editing a video, and there was a group of my friends there, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And there were 3 people that I had never seen, because you always just see the regulars there. And there was this guy, and he's like, oh, come sit over here. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I'm editing my video. I was sitting at another table. There was no room at their table. And he literally got up and, pushed his chair and said, oh, come on, come sit with us. And I'm like, okay. And so we were all sitting there talking, and he lived in Wisconsin. He had a hobby farm, and both the same age. And so, not my type physically, I wasn't attracted to him, but he was really nice. And at the end, I was talking to somebody else up by the door, and they were leaving. They had just been driving through on their way back from somewhere, and headed to home for them. And before he left, he came up to me, and he gave me his phone. He set it down, and he's like, hey, we should get together and, go out. And I kind of felt cornered, but I could have said no, but in my mind I was like, well, he was really nice, it would be nice. Nothing, it doesn't always have to be where you're gonna have some big romance. You can meet somebody, and I have a lot of guy friends, and so I thought, oh, maybe it'll be practice. I'd maybe see his hobby farm, whatever, that's interesting. And so I said okay, and so I put my phone number in his phone. we're standing there and he calls me right back. And I go, oh, what, did you think I gave you the wrong number? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I mean, whatever. But, so then I go back to the table where like all my girlfriends were that I know from up there. And we were sitting there talking, and I said, yeah, that guy, because they knew him, and, or had met him, I don't know, or knew his friends that were there. And I said, yeah, that guy asked me out. And they're like, wonder what his girlfriend would think about that. And I'm like, what? And he was showing pictures of his hobby farm, and him and these two people had gone to a party and stayed overnight, and she had like just had surgery on her foot and was at home by herself taking care of the hobby farm. And he was at the bar asking me out. And I don't know, did he think that I wasn't gonna like tell them? He probably didn't think so. I mean, obviously he didn't. And I was gonna write him and say something, but I was like, you know what, it isn't even worth my time anymore. Like, I'm not even mad. Thank God I found out beforehand. That's just what I thought. Like, again, I wasn't attracted to him. It wasn't going to be anything like that. But I thought it would be nice to go out with the guy, you know, and get some practice. And then just recently, so what I really wanted to say, so on here, like, you know, people DM me, and I don't write back. Like, sorry, but a lot of men. And, you know, the online stuff, and you just never know. Only twice have I written back. And so somebody wrote me, and I thought, oh, you know, he seemed really interesting, and he just said something quick, and so I wrote back, oh, thanks, or whatever. Then he wrote me, and then we kind of went back and forth. Oh, you know, what do you do? Da, 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 da. He lived in a different state. Well, I shouldn't even say I don't know. But then he's like, oh, let's take this over to Google Messenger. I'd never used it before. And so I'm like, okay, or whatever. So he was like writing me all day. And listen, I'm busy, you know, I write when I can. But then it was like, oh, good morning, beautiful. And then anyway, so it started to be kind of all day long. And listen, this only lasted for like 3 days. But when he would respond, it was like, and of course he had a death story, and it sounded like, when I would read it, like Chat GPT, I'm like, this person writes really eloquently, like for each thing, or in my head I'm like, it sounds like Chat GPT or AI. And so then at some point, again, it was only for like 3 days we were texting, and I said, I go, it kind of feels like a love scam, and you're about to ask me for some money. And yeah, I never heard back after that. And then I started doing some digging, and I did a Google reverse for his picture, and he had another TikTok under a name that he said he never would go by, because it was too like informal. And then I copied and pasted. Of course, he's a CEO. These are all red flags of, you know, somebody I think that's not real. And there was an Instagram under like the handle at whatever, but in parentheses it had like Felipe, like a name or whatever, that's who it was, and it wasn't active anymore. It's like, what? And I had just, what brought me to that is, after this just happened like last week, within the last 2 weeks, but this woman came on and said her daughter was lured by an AI generated, like somebody talking to her, and she took off and was almost kidnapped. And so you know, before it was, you know, online, when you're online you can be whoever you want, like you could say you're something, but they were real people, just people lying. And now they're not even real people, and they're still, I mean, they're lying. There's nobody. So this is where we are with dating, and I mean, I'm fine by myself. I'm really fine by myself. But I just wanted to tell you this because I wanted you to beware too. That be careful out there. It's scary. It's really scary. I mean, I'm sure there's women that do that too. I'm just telling you my stories. Okay, be careful. All right. Bye.
Not my type physically. If a man said that about a woman, even a 59-year-old woman, he would be destroyed on social media. No man wants to be put in the friends category if they're asking you out.